everyone, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in for today's episode. It's another good one. It's a subscriber question that really I've always done in my head, but I've never really thought about and expressed in words. So it was a pretty cool topic to talk about, and one that I'm excited to share with you. And the question was, when do you stop power fishing and pick up the finesse rods? Like, how do you know while you're power fishing that you're making the mistake and you need to make that change? It's a really good question, and it's one, as a tournament angler, I've taught myself over the years just to kind of recognize while I'm on the water. And I want to share it with you. I've got 5 really main times when I need to put down the power fishing rods to pick up the finesse rods to make sure that I'm catching more fish, because there are very specific times when power fishing techniques just will not do well compared to finesse fishing techniques. And to be honest with you, it goes the other way too. There are times you're finesse fishing when you should be power fishing. So this is going to be a 2-part video. The first part that I want to talk about today is, when do you put down the power fishing rods? 5 times you put down the power fishing rods. But before I get into it, I just want to remind you guys that if you want to support the channel, head over into my description, click the link to thereelshot.com. Guys, if you want to buy some outdoor gear, some hunting gear, some fishing tackle, do your shopping at thereelshot.com. If you use the discount code STEFAN10, you'll save 10% off your order. You'll help the channel out. I also want to mention the Fish the Moment lake breakdowns that I've been doing. I've got like 15 lakes for the North Country, all the way from New York out to like California, that cover both smallmouth and largemouth. 40 waypoints in each of those that'll give you really good places to fish. If they're lakes that I have fished already, which pretty much everything is so far, I'm giving you the stuff that I know. If they're lakes that I've done really well in tournaments, Thousand Islands, Sturgeon Bay, I'm giving you the juice, guys. I'm giving you spots that really can be tournament winning spots. I'm not holding back on any of these lake breakdowns. So head into my description, click the link to fishthemoment.com, and you can find those lake breakdowns there. If there's ones that you guys want to recommend me to do, throw it in the comment section and let me know what lakes you want me to break down for you. All right, guys. So the question was, when do you put down the power fishing rods and pick up the finesse rods? Well, the first thing, the most important thing in my opinion, is you need to recognize the conditions that you're fishing. If you are in post-front conditions, bluebird skies, the temperature's fallen a little bit, and you just are in those bluebird post-front conditions, pretty much automatically I think you're better off fishing the finesse stuff. The slow-moving baits, the slow fall baits, you know, small baits, that will almost always outperform. You've got fish that are going to be in a lethargic mood, and they're generally going to be on the bottom during that time or tight to cover, and it's just better to let a bait soak versus trying to reel past a spinner bait or a swim jig or chatterbait or crankbaits. In my experience, you're way better off with a finesse bait at that point. So that's the first time. The second thing that you need to recognize before you even get to the lake really is, what are the water temperatures? If you are in water temperatures that are below 50 degrees, at that point, again, you're really better off not fishing the big power stuff. You're better off going with the smaller baits, the finesse stuff, the slow moving baits. I consider a jerk bait a finesse bait. So at that point, you know, the same thing about a swim bait. Like a slow moving swim bait is more of a finesse tactic to me than a power fishing tactic that you're really just kind of imparting a lot of action and letting that bait that has a lot of disturbance, a lot of noise, really try to generate the fish or draw fish to them. I think you're better off going with a much slower moving bait in cold water. You know, a jig, you may be throwing a bigger jig, but you're still working it slow generally because of the cold water. So that's more of a finesse tactic than really trying to let a jig crash around in some rocks or in some trees. I think you're better off just fishing much slower. So that's the second thing. The water temperature, as well as just what the conditions, the air conditions are really important in choosing between the two. A third thing has to do with while you're fishing. So if you're out and say you're going down the bank, chucking a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or flipping a jig into cover, and you're not getting bit, but you're seeing fish. So you're seeing cruising fish, or you're having you may be having a few fish that follow your bait. In that situation, those fish, there are fish in your area, and you need to recognize that your power fishing techniques are not working. You are fishing through areas and missing fish. That probably is indicating to you that the fish are not in a very aggressive mood. And in order to have better luck with non-aggressive fish, you're better off going with finesse stuff. So if you're seeing fish in the area you're fishing and not getting bit doing what you're doing, change from power setup to a finesse setup. The fourth thing is similar to that. If you're getting bites doing what you're doing, but you're not hooking up, so you're getting short strikes, you might be throwing a chatterbait and fish are coming up and bumping it, or fish are coming up and grabbing the tail of it, you need the change. Yes, you can potentially change color, you can potentially change size of the bait and maybe get those fish to bite, but in my experience, you're much better off making the change right to a finesse bait. I got my little buddy Duke coming. What's up, buddy? Come on in.
I don't want that. I don't want this one.
Okay, I'll be right there to change it.
Okay.
All right, I'll be right there. I've got him sitting in front of Paw Patrol right now. He wants a different episode. So, guys, what I was saying is if you're getting short strikes, in my experience, you're generally better off to just switch from a power presentation to a slow-moving finesse-style presentation. That, to me, is a much easier way to make a change and immediately impact the number of bites you're getting versus saying, I'm going to change from a black and blue chatterbait to a white chatterbait and see if that helps. You already know that there's something they don't like about that bait. So to me, I would rather give them a completely different presentation. Go from fast, big, bulky, loud bait to the complete opposite of a finesse presentation like a Ned rig. Small bait, no noise, very little water disturbance, something on the bottom, and see if that makes an immediate impact. If I switch to that and I'm not getting bit, maybe then I'll go back to the chatterbait in a different color, but I'd rather make a drastic change first before trying to just change the color of my bait. I think you're going to have better success by making that change to a different bait. So the last thing, the fourth time that I really like to go with finesse presentations over power fishing is when you are fishing a heavily pressured, clear body of water. That's the big part there. If you have a body of water that's got very, very clear water and it's got a lot of fishing pressure, at that point, you're almost always better off just going with finesse tactics all day long. Yes, you can still generate a few bites here and there by throwing those power techniques, but you're usually behind the eight ball to begin with in really clear water with power techniques. So as soon as you throw in the factor that those fish have seen all the baits out there already, generally you're better off going with those small finesse baits. So guys, that was 5 times you should put down the power fishing baits and pick up your finesse rods. I think if you do that, in those situations, you'll see your productivity on the water go up dramatically. So guys, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button, and I'll do a reverse, which is when you're finesse fishing, and you should stop finesse fishing and go with the power fishing rods. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, like I said, hit that like button and stay tuned for tomorrow's video.